Someone who doesn't work as hard as you do gets the opportunities that you're after and you don't. When was the last time that you went out of your way to ask for feedback? Okay, this guy works hard, delivers great work. Let's promote him, let's give him a raise. Nothing is changing. You don't get promoted, you don't get a raise, and you feel like you're staying stuck. Welcome to Money, Meaning, and Mastery, a podcast for those who want to build wealth, leverage, and purpose without burning themselves out in the process. I'm your host, Wilson Raposo, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about a topic that I'm very passionate about. And that is, of course, about careers, about the career advice you never got, when no one tells you about career growth. Since I graduated college back in 2017, I've been very diligent about my career, and I have had my fair share of lessons and challenges, and navigating those has served me pretty well. So I wanted to make this episode to share about you the things that I've learned throughout my career, and hopefully that serves you well in your career as well. So let's talk about it. I want to start this episode in the lens of the advice that we actually get, right? So we get advice from our parents, people who already started their careers and are perhaps 10, 15, 20 years ahead of us. And they're always very vocal about the advice that they want to give and share with us who are starting their careers or still navigating their careers. So, I want to share some of this advice, and I want you to tell me if this resonates with you, if this kind of advice is something that you received before. So they tell you to work hard, be loyal, deliver great work, right? You heard this, right? This is very common advice. Somebody that's already successful, that perhaps in BP level or have their own companies, they tell you just work hard, right? This is the general advice that we get from everybody. They tell you to be loyal to your company. They tell you to deliver great work, but nothing changes. You don't get promoted. You do exactly that, but you don't get promoted. You don't get a raise. You have the same responsibilities that you started with. So you don't have this kind of personal growth as well. And you can't figure out what you're doing wrong. You think that what you're doing is not wrong. And I'm here to tell you that what you're doing is probably not wrong as well. You're just missing five things that nobody tells you, five career mechanics that determine who advances and who stays stuck. So let's get into it. If you ever watch any career advice video or get advice from anyone that has already had a successful career by some sort of metric, been promoted multiple times or making more money than where they started, when you get advice from these people, you always think that maybe if you actually follow their advice, you'll follow or get the same kind of results. You stay loyal to your company, you work hard, you do great work, you are patient, and you realize that nothing is changing. You don't get promoted, you don't get a raise, and you feel like you're staying stuck. So you start asking yourself, what am I missing? Am I the problem? Have I hit a ceiling? Is this as far as I can go? And this occurs everywhere in every industry. I have friends that share with me that they have worked hard for years, deliver great work, and no matter how hard they work or how patient they are, every year they get the same results. They get meet expectations in their honor performance review. They are perhaps recognized as employee of the month, but nothing is changing on an annual basis. They're not getting promoted, they're not getting raises, and they feel they're not getting more technical or challenging work year after year. So they feel stuck. I have a theory as to why this happens, and not to age myself. I am past my 20s. Well, I'm 30, on my way to 31. And I've had my fair share of lessons and challenges in my career that probably could explain as to why, no matter how hard we work, we feel stuck and nothing is happening in our careers. And my theory is that the advice that we are getting is incomplete. It's not wrong, it's just incomplete. Yes, you do have to work hard, but working hard is just the entry fee. It does not differentiate you. And yes, you have to do great work, but if nobody in your company notices such great work, then it does not count. So the advice sounds good, but it's just missing the actual mechanics. And something that we don't think about enough, and I honestly realized this very recently, is that hard work and great work are the baseline of our performance. When we are hired by a company, They expect us to do hard work and great work, meaning the hard work and great work are expectations, not differentiators. Listen to this again. Hard work and great work are expectations, not differentiators. And to add on top of that, the advice that we get about be valuable, build skills, and be patient, it's just advice that is thrown out there. What kind of skills am I supposed to build? The kind of skills that keep me stuck at my current level? How am I supposed to be valuable? By doing my job? How am I supposed to be patient? For how long? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? This is just advice that is thrown out there that in the surface it sounds good, but it's incomplete. It doesn't tell you exactly what you need to do. There's no examples of the things that you need to do to be successful by following that advice. And here's what happens when you blindly follow this general advice. There's three things that happen. The first one is that you build the wrong things. You build tenure, you build competence at the current task or the work that you do, you become reliable. And those are great things. I'm not saying anything negative about that. But again, these things are expectations wherever you work. They want people to be reliable, they want people to be competent in the kind of work that they do, and they want them to build tenure and be loyal to their company. So these things are expectations, not differentiators. There's no way you can stand out by following this advice and building the wrong things. The second thing is that other people figured it out before you and you watch and pass you. Someone who started after you gets promoted and you don't. Someone who doesn't work as hard as you do gets the opportunities that you're after and you don't. So this is a serious problem. And third, your confidence starts to crack. And this is a really big one for me because year after year, when you go to your annual performance review, if you get your meets expectations, then that means that you're not exceeding expectations or you're not performing above what they expect of you. And if you really think about this meets expectations thing year after year, it just says that you are doing your job at your current level, right? So how are you supposed to grow if you don't have more challenging work? How are you supposed to grow if you're not performing at the next level at your company? And when you get this meet expectations, there's something psychologically as well that we neglect. And perhaps, maybe the way I thought about it before is that when you get meets expectations and you realize that you're just doing your job, right? You're not exceeding it. Because I personally always wanted to exceed expectations. But when you get meets expectations every year, year after year, you might start asking yourself, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I hit the ceiling. Maybe this is as far as I can go. And this is one of the most dangerous places to be in, truly. I say this with all the honesty, is that being in this position when you start doubting your performance is a very dangerous place to be, because once you start telling yourself this in your head, right, then this becomes a mindset and your lack of action follows. You get comfortable, and being comfortable is very expensive. Why? Because here's what happens: the job is fine, the pay is okay, it's comfortable. You perhaps feel overworked, undervalued, and unsure about the next steps because nothing's happening. You don't get promoted, you don't get a raise, you don't move up in your career ladder, or you don't go up in your organization. And immediately your career becomes to be on autopilot. Maybe you make a little bit more money than what you made the year before while inflation is eating you alive. And then you hit a point in your finances when you think that you are overspending because your grocery bill is 10% higher than it was the year before. And you think the solution to this is to cut spending and not make more money. I'm telling you, this is a very dangerous place to be in. So I'm making this episode because I don't want you to be comfortable in your career. I want you to follow the advice that has served me well to make more money, to get promoted multiple times. For context, I've had 7 years in my career and I've been promoted, let's see, one, two, three, four, 5 times, I believe, across 4 companies. I have been in 4 companies in my 7 years or experience, going on 8 in March. And I have more than triple my salary since this day I started in my career in those 7 years. So the advice that I'm sharing here is not just silly advice. It's just more very practical advice that you can follow and have similar or better success than the one I've had in my career. So let's go over this. Let's go over the career advice that they don't give you. Nobody tells you about career growth. And I'm going to start with number one. Your career is 100% on you. That's the biggest advice I can give you today. Your career is 100% on you. Your career is your responsibility, not your managers, not your companies, not HRs, yours. And I know that sounds a little bit harsh and maybe unfair because I used to think that as long as I did hard work and great work, my career would take care of itself. Somebody would make those decisions for me and say, okay, this guy works hard, this guy delivers great work. Let's promote him, let's give him a raise. I thought that just by doing work and great work, that was enough for me to have a successful career, retire at 65 with a house next to a beach. No, it does not work like that. Nobody's coming to manage your career. Your career is 100% your responsibility. Nobody's sitting around thinking about the next step in your career. And if you think about it, it's a very silly thing to think about, especially when you're early on your careers because you're coming out of college with no experience. You start your career working for a great company and you think that they have your best interest in mind. And I'm not saying anything about those organizations or your managers or anything like that. It's just I'm being practical about this because if you think about your managers, the owner of the companies you work for, they have their own growth problems or things that they worry about. Your manager also cares about their career. They want to go up in their career as well. The owner of your company wants to expand their company and build more. So they have all the things to occupy their minds with. So they're thinking about their growth and not yours. And sure, if you come to them and you share about the things that you want to do for the company and you want to go up in the ladder, they'll help you get there. They are great tools for you to go up in your career, but they're not doing the first step. They're not making the first step. They're thinking about themselves. And what I want you to realize with this advice here that I'm telling you is that with your career being on your control, this is actually very great news because you don't have to wait for permission to anyone. You don't have to wait for anyone's permission. Let's just say that to do anything when it comes to your career. You don't have to wait for the right time to get or go after the opportunities that you want. And you can build your career in your own terms. And that is great. So, what does ownership of your career looks like? It means that you set your own goals and you set your own growth. You get to decide every year, every quarter, every 6 months what goals you're after, what kind of problems you want to solve, what kind of skills you want to build, what value do you want to create for others. This is your 100% your decision because you set 100% of the direction that your career is going to take. But you have to do the work yourself. You cannot delegate your career to others. So that's advice number one. Advice number two that they didn't tell you is that being coachable is your biggest career advantage. And I have a question for you. When was the last time you seek feedback? I'm not talking about in your annual performance review meeting where you say, hey, to your boss, can you give me some feedback on my performance? But I'm just asking outside of that, on a frequent basis, when was the last time that you went out of your way to ask for feedback on your work, the projects that you worked on, any tasks that you completed, any kind of interaction with a client? When was the last time you asked for very specific feedback about how you are performing outside of your annual performance review? Most people don't. Most people don't go out of the way to get feedback. They dread feedback because they're afraid of what they will hear. They think receiving feedback means that they're doing a really bad job. And I get it because it's really hard to put your ego aside and think of feedback as something that would be beneficial for you because I personally in my early career used to think that whenever I received feedback, I thought of feedback as a negative thing, as I was not doing my job. And every time I got feedback on something that I was very proud of or something I worked really hard for, it always put me in this anxious state because I thought I would probably be fired and I would not be promoted or I would not get a raise. So all these things play a really big factor when it comes to me interpreting feedback. But I'm here to tell you that being coachable and asking for feedback as a way to improve your current process, your current performance is literally one of the biggest career advantages that you can have. So I'm here to ask you to please change your mindset when it comes to feedback because people who seek feedback as a way to improve their craft and get better at what they do not only have greater fulfillment but also is what decides who gets up, who advances in their career and who stays stuck. If you're the type of person who doesn't go out of the way to ask for feedback and get better at what you do, you're just gonna stay at where you are. And it's unfortunate because we put so much effort into our careers and just not by being open into feedback and improving and hearing others' point of view about how we are perceived and how our work is perceived, it can literally put a blind eye on your career and you're just missing on massive growth. The other great thing about asking for feedback is the fact when you're asking for feedback to your manager, to your boss, people you work with, it signals that you care about improvement, it cares about change, and you're giving them the opportunity to be participant of that growth, of that improvement. And people in general, they do like giving feedback. They love working with people who seek improvement, that want to improve themselves, that they are coachable. And this is going to bring even better things for you because, on top of all the growth and the improvement that you're going to have for your own self, you're also signaling that you care about, going to the next step, going to do a more challenging task, a more challenging project because you're taking care of the things that need improvement now. So, once you get that feedback, what do you do? And this is a very important thing. Asking for feedback is just the first step. The second step is to actually act on that feedback. You want to make improvements, you want to address all the feedback that you get for anyone around you and do it visibly. You want to do this very visibly and be appreciative for being in an environment where feedback is the norm. That's where your career builds, that's where your career grows. All right. So, my next career advice that nobody told you, number three, is making your work visible matters more than doing good work. If the right people don't know about the great work that you're doing, it might as well not exist. And I know this feels very gross, it feels braggy, it feels a lot like self promotion, but visibility is not vanity, it's a strategy. If you solve a complex problem, a hard problem at work, and the right people don't know that you solve this problem, then it does not count. If you save your company $100,000 by some workflow improvement and is not documented or communicated, it's not visible. So what you want to do here is to document the impact that you have. You want to document your impact, and you can do so in any way, shape, or form. But the idea is that you document the great things that you're doing, so that when the annual performance review comes, or whenever there's an important meeting about how your work is going, you are able to talk about this impact. And this is not, being embellishing the work that you do. It's not lying. It's just making people aware about the great work that you're doing. So, my advice here is that you want to document your impact by any way, shape, or form. You can have a running list next to your desk or on your computer or on your to-do app, on your notes app, on your phone, whatever you do. And there's three things that I want you to write down and keep track of all the time. So the problems that you solve at work, obviously, value that you have created, and the outcomes that you drove. Don't rely on memory for this. Write them down every time you solve a great problem, every time that you create value for either yourself to do your work better, for your teammates or your company, or whenever you drive a great outcome home. This is what you document in those notes, so that whenever there's a conversation about your performance, you can bring this up in a righteous way because this is impact that you're doing for your company. So, and the main thing here is that I don't want you to assume that people remember. I can tell from experience, whoever's higher than you, your manager, your boss, anybody else, they have their own problems to deal with. They have a lot of things that they come across in a given day. They're meetings with clients, they're working with different projects, managing your peers at the same level as you. So they don't have the mental bandwidth to remember every single thing that you do. So what you do is document it, and then when the conversation comes, you're able to talk about it. And then what you do is you make your work visible strategically, right? You share updates in a weekly meeting, bi-weekly meeting, monthly meeting, whenever that happens. You show the progress of the work that you have completed. Okay, I started with this, I am here, I'm going there. And then you communicate impact that you do through that work. When you complete a meaningful task, you make sure that the right people know about it. This is what I mean about making your work visible, because nobody is going to advocate for yourself as you are going to advocate for yourself. Just keep that in mind. I'll repeat it again. Nobody's going to advocate for yourself as much as you're going to advocate for yourself. Just keep that in mind. All right, moving on to career advice. Nobody told you. Number four, career growth is about building moats, not just skills. Nobody told me this, but having skills is not enough. You need something defensible. Warren Buffett talks about business moats, and this is essentially competitive advantages that protect you from competition. You need just the same when it comes to your career. Most people build general skills, skills that can be taught, skills that they can learn in school or watching a YouTube tutorial. And if it can be taught, it can be replaced. So what you need is a career mode, something that makes you hard to replace. Okay. So how do you build a career mode? The way you build one is through this, is through continuous learning in your domain. Continuous learning in your domain. What do I mean by that? Not just learning what your job requires, okay? But by staying ahead of where your industry is going. So when you graduate college and you got a 4 year degree in engineering, that's not where your learning stops. If you get a master's, that's also not where your learning stops. You have to continue learning about your industry, about things that can help you expedite or bring efficiency to the work that you do. And that continuous learning is what is going to help you stay ahead of the competition. So let's say that you are a software engineer and your job is writing code and delivering features. Staying ahead of the competition might mean that you start learning about AI and how it can impact your domain. You spend 30 minutes a day learning how to implement AI into applications. And 6 months later, when your company says, okay, we're going to start adding AI capabilities to our applications. By that time, you already built that capability. And you can say, hey, I can take the lead here because I already learned this on my own and I can bring value to the company this way. This is how you build a career mode because you build the capability before it became a requirement. And we're not talking here about going back to school and investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in getting a master's to learn a skill and build a career mode that way. No, because again, if it can be taught, it can be replaced. Somebody else around you in the same environment can go ahead and do the same, and you no longer have to lead. We're talking about building a skill that you develop every quarter or every year. So there are three types of skills that I'm going to go over. And the first one is could be a skill that is technical, such as learning new software, learning a new type of design, learning a new framework, something that helps you do the technical aspects of your job better than anybody else. Or it could be behavioral, it could be communication, improving your communication skills, presentation skills, it could be leadership, it could be stakeholder management, could be influence. These are things that are behavior in nature that help you do the behavioral aspects of your job better than anybody else. Or it could be strategic, business thinking, system design, etc. So you get it. Yeah, you build a skill that complements your technical skills or behavioral skills or strategic skills and help you do your job better than anybody else. Okay. Once you pick a skill, you're going to spend 30 minutes a day improving that skill or learning that skill. The way you split the 30 minutes, it could be any way, shape, or form. You can do 15 minutes at the start of your workday. You get to your office or your desk 15 minutes earlier than anybody else, and then complete the other 15 minutes over your lunch break or after your workday is done. The goal is to spend 30 minutes improving or learning that skill. And if you do this 5 business days a week, that is 130 hours a year. And if you compound that over years, that's how you build career mode because you're spending time, you're being diligent about continuous learning in your domain. That's how you build your career mode, and that's what makes you irreplaceable. Last but not least is career advice. Nobody tells you number five is specific knowledge beats hard work. I learned this from Naval Ravikant, who's a tech investor and philosopher. He talks a lot about building wealth and leverage. So I do read a lot of what he says. And when I learned this, everything changed in my career. This is what he says. There is a difference between general knowledge and net specific knowledge. General knowledge is knowledge that you can learn in school, it can be taught in school, you can watch a YouTube tutorial about, or it's something that you are trained on in bootcamp. This is what general knowledge is about. On the other hand, specific knowledge is knowledge that could only be learned through experience, through your unique path, through your own doing, through years of doing. And so, what I'm getting at is that specific knowledge is how you actually become valuable over your career. And this is how you get paid, and this is how you make money. Okay. Not your hard work, not how many hours you put in, but specific knowledge. So, how do you get specific knowledge? I'm still navigating this because I'm still learning this myself. I'm in the same journey as you are, but the questions that you are supposed to ask yourself to help you determine what specific knowledge will be in your case are as follows. So, first, what do I know that I can't explain how I learned it? Like nobody taught you this in school. It's just something that you picked up over years through experience, through doing, through practice. Okay. That's question number one. Second, what problems can I solve that other people struggle with, even those who have been trained? There is something that you can see or a problem that you face and you immediately know the answer. This is what we're talking about here. If you watch other people solving this kind of problem, you see them struggling. This is what this question sparks here. So what is that? What problems can you solve that other people struggle with? Third, what am I naturally curious about that other people find boring? This is a big one. Your obsession becomes your advantage. If you're the person that gets excited about optimizing workflows while other people think that you are insane, that is a clue here. That's valuable. Fourth, and the last question, what feels like play to me but looks like work to others? This is where specific knowledge truly lives. For me, is the intersection of engineering and content creation. I have developed, or I'm still developing, the ability to take on complex engineering problems and explain it in a way that lands to the people that do not have the same context or background that I have. Most engineers can build things, but they cannot communicate their engineering or their topics in a way that lands or that non-technical people can understand. So when you combine content creation or communication, that's probably a bigger umbrella, and your ability to communicate to all types of audiences, that's a specific knowledge that is not taught in school. It could only be developed through practice, through years of doing. So this is where I am right now. This kind of specific knowledge is what makes you irreplaceable. Not your hard work, not the hours that you put in, but this specific knowledge. And with these four questions, you now know how to find your specific knowledge. That's it for this episode. I hope that the advice that I share in this episode is valuable to you to become intentional about your career and take control and build a career that not only brings you financial prosperity, but also fulfillment as well. If you found this episode helpful and you think that somebody else that you know might find this episode valuable as well, the advice that I'm sharing here and could help them in their career, please share it with them. Please share it. Don't gatekeep this information. I am still navigating my own career, and I will be making a lot more videos when it comes to this topic because I'm very passionate about it. And being intentional with my career has brought me massive success, and I hope that it brings the same to you. So please share this episode with everybody that will find this episode helpful. And don't forget to hit a like button, leave me a comment, subscribe, whatever you listen to this podcast, either on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And if you're on TikTok or Instagram, please make sure you follow me at yes.wilson. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one.